how's it going? See, is my mic coming through? Should be, right? Why is this thing complaining about the stream? Bitrate. I don't see an issue. Anyways. Delegate handler. How do we add a lambda expression? I haven't done C# in a long time. So I'm trying to figure out how to add this handler. So for anyone who just joined, what I've got going on here is, where's my stream? What I've got going on is this Avalonia based app, which is just basically the modern version of WPF. It's a pretty nice .NET GUI framework, and I've got my engine, which is based, it's C++ based, and I recently started writing a Vulkan render from scratch for it. I kind of scrapped some of the older stuff that I've done. I've done some Vulkan stuff in the past, and I previously got this whole setup done with DirectX, but I wanted to kind of switch back to Vulkan and just sort of move forward with that. So I finally got my Vulkan renderer working in tandem with this C# application. So essentially, when the renderer starts up, it kind of creates like a shared texture that it renders to, as opposed to rendering to a window like you normally do. And it exposes that render target to the C# app directly out of video memory. So essentially the two applications, or the two sides, C# and C++, kind of share and look at the same texture. So there's no like GPU, CPU copying, like they're just looking at the same video memory. So when I run the app, the Avalonia app starts up and it calls in to my engine/game code through a DLL, and essentially they kind of shake hands, and now you have this thing running, this little engine running in the actual Avalonia app, and this is the actual render target that Vulkan draws to, which has been sort of embedded into the C# app. And this is sort of like the basic setup that I got. Finally got it working last night. Vulkan is a headache with stuff like this, because you got to like synchronize everything. The engine's running in its own thread, so I have this like engine worker class, which I wrote a while ago for the DirectX based renderer, and I've sort of just scrapped all that, and I tied it into the Vulkan stuff. But you got to keep the stuff in sync, because you have like the engine running full blast in one thread, and the C# app running full blast in its own thread, or not full blast. It does its own little throttling, so it doesn't constantly draw. And yeah, just keeping them in sync and having them share a texture that they're both looking at is a task. it's not the funnest thing I've ever worked on, but there's some flickering there. I think there's some issues with Avalonia that I'll have to work out, but it looks like it's working. You know, the engine has like an animation system and a bunch of other stuff. If we look at this, there's like camera, input, physics, animation, etc. And this is the new Vulkan based thing. So it's all sort of working and running in a separate thread, and they're kind of doing their thing. So at this point, I'm just trying to figure out how to add keyboard handling into this viewport custom control thing that I've added, which is what actually draws the texture. It draws the render target from the engine, because I want to actually, be able to move this guy around, because the actual game code itself has input and all that. You can jump and shoot, but I need to be able to take the events from inside of Avalonia, which is, like I said, the UI framework, and I need to forward them to the engine and push them into, sort of add them into the engine. Like the standalone version of this is all SDL based, so I just kind of own the SDL loop, and then I capture those key up and down events, and those all end up into the engine that way. But here, SDL doesn't own the loop. The engine's running without receiving keyboard handling through SDL. So, um, sorry, I just saw a question here. Um, ZBrush and Marmoset are not really for my programming workflow. I kind of have a little passion for 3D art, so or I've developed a passion for 3D art. It's not. I've been doing programming for like 20 years professionally, so that's not 3D stuff is not really my my main cup of tea. But over the last few years, I really got into like some character modeling and environment art. So I got into Marmoset for, people would recommend it for rendering because it's got a really nice ray traced render, but it's also a really nice texturing tool. I think it kind of rivals Substance Painter at this point, just with how good it's become. And ZBrush obviously just for um, sculpting. It's it's a pretty powerful sculpting tool. Uh, I imagine you're familiar with it, but I tried Blender and 3D Coat for sculpting as well, but they're not there yet. ZBrush just has so many little features that once you start doing things like hard surface and doing clothing and whatever, ZBrush just kind of shines. But that's a separate rant. I'll go off on a tangent there if I keep going. So anyways, here what I need to do is I need to do milk. I don't know what that means. What I am going to do though is I'm going to try and capture these keyboard events in here and then push them into the engine thread. So they need to come in as external events, which I already kind of have a workflow for that. Oh, thank you, Visual Studio. Essentially, there's a ring buffer of events that you can, if this is, actually this is the wrong ring buffer, but essentially I have an atomic one that I need to use. I think I need to include it separately. Where is it? Atomic ring buffer. Oops. Atomic ring buffer. So essentially, it'll just hang on to events until the engine's ready to process them. I'm kind of jealous of your day-to-day. I really, really like 3D art nowadays, and it's something I always had a passion for. Like back when I was in high school, I think I'm old, but 3D Studio was still taught in my drafting class. Um, so I really started getting into that, and then somebody back in the day gave me a pirated copy of 3D Studio Max, like one of the super early versions. Shh, don't tell anyone, obviously. And I used to do some of that stuff in high school, but yeah, my career took a different path. Music and programming and 3D art is kind of a little too much. I can't be a professional in all those things, but yeah. I am jealous of people that do it for a living. It's such a fun thing, especially environment art. Like I've really gotten into Substance Designer a little bit, and tileable textures and blockouts and modular art and all that kind of stuff. And it's a lot of fun. So what I'm looking to do with this channel actually, and maybe you guys can tell me if you think this is interesting, is um, I want to set things up in a way where I get to a point with some of this new engine stuff that I'm doing, where I can sort of marry those two hobbies up together. Because right now I really want to focus on the programming side of things, and continue to teach C++ and game and 3D programming and all that. But eventually, I'd love to introduce, doing some modular scenes and looking at how you can build something out in, let's say Maya or Blender or whatever, and then bring that into the engine and what it would look like to get the scene that you've built out in Maya or Blender and to get that imported into in the engine, and what that would look like going from all those meshes and instance meshes in, let's say Blender, and then how you would import what the interchange format would be and how that gets parsed. Like I've done that in the past with my old engine, but I would love to sort of, none of that was vlogged, recorded. I just have some short clips of it on my channel, but I'd love to get things set up so that I can actually do some more 3D art and have that actually result in game programming content on my channel. So mm, let me see what you guys are saying here. Services will eventually go evil. Yeah, I mean, anything where you're paying a recurrent license, I think, is kind of evil, but it is sort of where we're at. I don't think any of these programs offer enough value year over year to warrant the prices that they're charging, because once you get, let's say, ZBrush or whatever, once you pay for that product once, the incremental things that you're getting are definitely not worth the money that you're paying, uh, let's say annually or whatever. And same with Adobe or any of these products, and not just like design tools, like IntelliJ, which is one that I used to pay for Java programming, or C-Line or any of those tools. Like they're charging annual prices, but I don't think they add nearly enough real value to be charging recurrent subscription prices. Like it should be buy once, upgrade when you feel like it. So okay, let's see. Let's get this atomic ring buffer in here. I included it. Why? That's because I need to rename this class. This is what refactoring looks like. So, should be good. Out of the people currently watching, are you guys programmers, or what are people interested in? I guess why click on the stream? Anybody else working on an engine, or? That's cool. What engine tech? What are you using? Are you kind of building your own? Yeah, it's not about smart. It's about you know um, being interested enough to sort of put aside the fact that there's easy tools like Godot out there. Like I could just scrap all this and actually make games with an engine, but I'm hard-headed and stubborn, and I love doing this lower level stuff, probably more than even making games, to be honest. And so I kind of follow my gut, just go with what I find interesting. Yeah, there's a lot to learn. I mean, I wasn't the goodest kid in high school, let's say, and you know, I did my maths and all that, but I wish I was a better student and I hung out with a different crowd. And now that I'm doing all this heavy math stuff, I wish I had spent all those years kind of digging deeper into calc and trig and linear algebra and all that stuff. And because now I've had to do all these courses on Udemy and whatever, and just really sort of fill a lot of gaps in my knowledge that I probably should have had from when I was, in my late teens. So yeah, it's a lot to learn, and that's just the math stuff. Never mind all the other shit like learning shaders and Vulkan, and yeah, I'm with you, but I'm hard-headed. Nice, Fears. Are you? Did you check out my video by chance? I don't know. I have like a 2.5 hour video on my channel, kind of going over very basic game programming. Actually, the little demo that you guys are going to be seeing as I run this, this little demo is, if this thing starts up anytime soon, I gotta turn off this mixed mode debugging. But yeah, this little demo, I can't control it right now, like I was saying earlier. I'm just integrating this tooling into the engine right now, but it's it's a little shooter. You know what? Let me just actually. I hope I didn't, with all the refactoring I've done, I hope I didn't break stuff. But let me just fire this up. You'll see what I mean. So this is like the engine running in standalone mode, so not embedded inside of the tooling. I made a whole bunch of changes to get this stuff sort of working with C# and Vulkan, so I hope I didn't break my code for the standalone mode. Especially last night, I was kind of really hacking away at this thing, so we'll see. Cross your fingers. Yeah, this is already a bad sign. Validation errors. Oh, but it's running. So anyways, this is the little thing that we built for that 2.5 hour video that I made. We kind of go from absolute, like, let's write main to collision detection, shooting, and all that. So yeah, so this is like running inside of SDL, which is handling all the platform and input and all that stuff. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this window that is otherwise created with SDL. I have a separate flow, compilation flow, and here I'll show you what I mean. I have this like, let's switch here. So as things are being initialized, there's like different code paths that get compiled. So you've got like different versions of the game DLL depending on whether it's being compiled for tooling or for standalone mode. So this little if const expr will, like, if this is being built for the tooling, like inside of C#, this won't even get compiled. So I have like some little checks, but essentially there's almost no SDL at all when it's running in here inside of this little engine, or inside of this tooling app. And essentially what's happening is, if we look at the game lib, which is where the kickstart happens, external, so this is like things calling in, so C# calling into C++, you have to export some functions this way. So what happens is there's like start standalone, which will just run the engine. And this is what gets called by the exe, but this start tooling will fire up this engine worker thing and return it, and then C# hangs onto this pointer and then just makes calls into the engine this way. So it passes the worker and it tells which command, like exporting stuff and etc. So anyways, this isn't SDL, so the point that I'm at right now is I want to get this keyboard event stuff working, and then we'll be calling into like this thing and saying, hey, push a key up event, push a key down event, and all that kind of stuff, forwarding it from the C# app into the actual engine. And that's why I have this atomic ring buffer, because it's filling with events from the C# application, like key up, key down, resize, close, whatever, and it's pushing it into the worker. And then as the worker thread is running, it's processing the engine, it's stepping through the engine, and this step function is, calculating delta time. This is just stuff for the standalone version, you can ignore, but it's going through, it's starting like the start of the frame, the input stage, the physics stage, the gameplay system stage, any systems that you register for gameplay, the animation stage, and then finally the render systems, or system in this case, is just the Vulkan system. And my highly descriptive comments. Essentially, this, by the time we get to end frame, that's drawing into a texture that's shared between the C# and the C++ world, and we're drawing it inside of this viewport control. So what I need to do is I need to shut my mouth and try this again, because I couldn't get this working. So so we have on, key down. So logic would tell me that this is how that should happen. On, key up. But for some reason, when I put these breakpoints here, oops, I don't see shit, which is kind of frustrating. Oh yeah, you can connect. It's actually a lot better than JNI. I've done it quite a bit for JNI. I wrote some plugins for Android, C++, game development way back. And JNI is a fucking nightmare. Like, I really don't like working with JNI. Whereas here, it's actually pretty straightforward. Like, you have this, so wait, hold on, before I forget. See, like, the keyboard isn't doing shit here. I'm not receiving any events, so I need to figure out how I need to wire this up with Avalonia. But, yeah, like, if you look at this external CPP file, this is for the engine worker stuff. So start application, or let's say start app tooling, matches up to start app tooling. This is a C# class that says, hey, I'm going to be looking for this DLL, and these are the methods that I expect to be exported by the DLL. So you just kind of call this C# class, and then it ends up finding this DLL, hopefully. This can become a little hairy, but it's easy to fix if there's anything going wrong. But essentially, if you look at like this control, there it is. So when the control starts up and gets, so this is viewport, and if you look at the main window, there's a viewport control right here. So I've placed it using XAML, and essentially, when this thing gets injected into the layout system, it calls into this layout updated, and in here I initialize the engine. So I call start app tooling, which, as you saw in here, is actually just calling out to a C++ DLL, which is ending up in start app tooling, and then they just, they start the process that way. So this is creating the engine worker, returning the pointer, and this is a pointer coming from C++, and it's being stored inside of my viewport control class. And then when I make calls, subsequent calls to work with the engine, I can just pass this along, and then it'll figure out all that stuff. Oh, sorry, it won't figure out all that stuff. It'll just call on the worker, right? Like, so here I worker, get engine, get renderer, and then this is how it gets the shared texture, so they can have a shared viewport. I don't know if any of this stuff is making any sense. I know I'm definitely rambling a little bit, but if you guys have any questions or anything, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, just let me know. But it's definitely a lot easier than JNI, right? Like, you just make the DLL, boom, and this is called p invoke. Yeah, it's so much nicer, and there's like a layer that handles marshalling, so you can pass structs around. Like I have this render info struct that's on the C# side, and obviously these fields have to match up in sequence and all that. So I have this render info that I don't know what this guy's talking about. So you have, where is that? I lost my train of thought, but whatever. Let's get this thing working. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to show you. I was going to show you the render worker thing, or the render info thing. Where's the render info? Engine. No, Vulkan system. So there's a render info, and essentially this is just matching up to that same one that I showed you in the C# class. And yeah, in the worker thing here. Yeah, so this one matches up with the one that you just saw in here. Or where was it? Fuck. In here. And then that's it. Like this whole C# marshalling stuff just kind of works. What filter are you talking about? Like, I don't use fucking filters, buddy. It's a photo of me, an actual photo of me. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And which photo did I even share? You talking about the one in my thumbnail? Are you comparing a phone photo with a webcam photo? Like, what do you, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, let's figure out how to get this thing. Avalonia on key down. Okay, so invoked when an unhandled key down event reaches the element. Okay, so what? Who's handling it then? Like, why am I not getting this? see what this guy's calling. I swear Avalonia's documentation is a bit on crack. Like trying to do anything remotely different like this is like just non-existent. So input element, what input element is this guy talking about? Special software, no, okay, so top level, get top level this, plus on key down. Okay, what is top level? I think you described it. Is top level a thing? Okay. What was it? Key down. These aren't delegates, are they? So how the fuck do I subscribe to that? Okay. That's obviously not gonna work. Okay, so it probably needs a different kind of handler. Still get event handler. Overflow for just delegate event handler. God, fucking C#, man. Is it gonna actually generate? Okay, that's good enough. Okay, so I should get an exception. Like, what am I supposed to do to subscribe here? So subscribe at the top level. Okay. Why is this guy calling top level get top level? Controls. Let's look at their docs. Where are the docs, man? Let's see, maybe there's a sample actually. Is this, I hope this isn't boring anyone who's actually watching. I just want to figure this out. Basics, interface. Okay, so maybe not basics. We already checked this. Am I blind, or is there just nothing on? Let me try something. Let's ask AI. Hopefully it's pre-digested the documentation for me. Okay. Is that all it is? Does I have to freaking make it focusable? Like, what do you want from me? Let's try this again. So it's like it's not receiving the events at all. So maybe something is absorbing it, the dock panel. I'm using just straight Visual Studio. In fact, oh my god, I keep doing this. The startup is so slow because it's like you can disable like C++ debugging while you work on C#, so the startup is like substantially faster. Doesn't have to load all those DLLs. Try debugging again. Okay, why is this happening? I'll be back. I'm just gonna get some water. It's not so much better on Windows. It's just a full-blown IDE, right? As opposed to VS Code, which is a text editor with extensions to be an IDE. There's some things that I actually like about VS Code, but I've been working in Visual Studio for a very long time, and two, the debugging and the tooling in here is just far better than what you'd get in VS Code. There's also like diagnostic tools that you can do, like CPU profiling, GPU profiling. Like it's all kind of built in. It's much more comprehensive if you're doing like native C++ stuff. And I also really don't like Electron apps. Like I'm so sick of everything being an Electron app. Like it drives me mental. If I wasn't using Visual Studio, I'll be using Emacs. But Emacs kind of some of the debugging interface stuff is wonky, and it only works with GDB, and GDB is kind of trash on Windows, and I don't want to go down that that rant. But yeah, so on Windows I just stick with Visual Studio, or Qt Creator is pretty nice too. propagation. I wonder if let's do this and get rid of this for now. If I go to my main window here, and let's see, if the window's not getting them, then not here. Here. Detected override on key down. Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, so will this give me what I need? Flow control plus remedy? I don't know, what is that? Okay, so I'm getting the event on the main window. So let's see if I okay, let's try this. So what happens if I go excuse me viewport on handle key down, and I can just, can I forward the event this way? I should get an exception now. Okay. Exception. Progress. So I'm going to stick to this for now. I'll figure out why this thing is not receiving the event directly. I don't really care right now. We're going to just do this right in the window level. And let's do this. Key down, key up. Actually, because I'm OCD about stuff like this, we go up, down, and then match these up. Don't ask. And this will call up, and this will call down. So now let's see what this event gives me. Physical key, key modifiers, there's scan code. I think physical key is scan code actually. The physical key associated with these should match up to the scan codes that I have set up in the engine. So, a new editor made in Zig. Oh man, I keep hearing about Zig. I haven't actually looked into it much at all. I'll have to check that out. It sounds interesting. Is Zig, is the UI library that it's built with some HTML based bullshit, or is it native? Because yeah, I'm tired of running Electron little browsers for everything. Spotify, editors, and sweet. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Okay. Next. I don't need this. We need to handle, say, void engine API On key up, engine worker, and then we'll say, what's my scan code type? I don't remember. I think. Oh, I haven't changed this yet. Events. So scan code. Okay, so just U and 16. Whatever. I'll just pass that. Okay, so these should. Okay. Now what I need to do is first let's make sure that we can call into these. So we'll create there is, yeah. This stuff that I'm doing right now isn't yet checked in because it's just all up in the air, but I can give you the GitHub. If anyone hasn't actually checked out this stuff, I mean, it's come a long way since that video, but a lot of this is actually based on, if you check out my channel, there's like a pretty long video doing some introductory game development. So I took the thing that I made in that video and I started a brand new engine. I had another one on my GitHub called Boiler that had kind of come a long way, 3D engine and all that kind of stuff. So I decided to rebuild everything and sort of tackle things differently. So that repo that I sent there is the new engine. Recently started learning 3D stuff, especially DX12. Yeah, honestly, man, I'm kind of starting to lean towards DX12. Like, I'll probably support a Vulkan renderer, but I worked in DirectX for a bit. Like, I got some of this stuff working a few months back using actually DirectX 11 because I really wanted to sort of hit the ground faster. But there's so many things that you get with DX12. Like, it's still one of these highly explicit APIs where you control everything, all the memory and everything. But there's just certain things that are much nicer with DX12, like doing sync, handling the swap chain. I don't mind creating buffers and loading textures and managing memory and all that. Like, that all makes sense to me. But when you get into some of the sync stuff and just the insane amount of what I would call bullshit that you have to do with Vulkan sometimes, it's just like, I get why people shit on it, And then I try some DX12, and some of the stuff that would take you like 30 lines of code is like 2 lines of code in DX12, and you're not losing any control. So I probably will switch to DX12 in short, after that little rant. Like, I'll probably switch to DX12. Okay, so also, Avalonia is actually a really nice. It's kind of like the modern version of WPF, the C# UI framework that's been around for like 25 years or whatever. So Avalonia is like the modernization of that, and it's a really nice comprehensive UI framework. But they're back. It's all native rendered, right? Like they're rendering using DX11, 12, Vulkan, OpenGL, they have backends for everything. But I think their Vulkan backend is actually kind of trash because when I run my app, I notice some issues from their Vulkan implementation, which I thought were mine at first. I'm like, can't be theirs, but I feel like I should do this in DirectX and just do all of my work, like all of my sort of initial work in DX12, and then when I want to do like a kind of bring my cross-platform renderer up to speed, I'll just translate DX12 to Vulkan, just for like mostly the standalone stuff. But yeah, I kind of want to get away from Vulkan, I think, at this point, because it's pissing me off in some ways. Okay, I keep losing track of what the hell I'm doing because I ramble. Um, but I guess rambling is a little more interesting than me sitting here quiet, right? I'mGUI's pretty cool. It's just I've used it quite a bit over the years. Like my first engine, I had it integrated in there. Actually, my first engine, I really went with Qt, for some of the tooling stuff, and because it's all C++ to C++. But um, Qt is like, it's a nice framework. It does a lot, but the reason I went with the C# one is because it's just, you can be productive from a UI and application perspective. You can be productive so much faster with this one. And I know this, what I'm doing right now, is kind of janky and it looks a little boring, but once you actually start building these UIs, like this framework and doing stuff in XAML and just the whole MVVM methodology that it uses, where you have these view models in the back, everything is like bound. So for doing complex UIs, like you click one thing and it changes one property, and then the entire UI updates through like notifications, and it's, I mean, I can't really summarize it well enough to sell it to you guys like this, but it's just so much nicer to work in a retained, classical, really mature UI framework than I'mGUI, which, you know, it's nice for like sliders and buttons here and there, and some. It's got a lot of cool stuff. Don't get me wrong. I like it. It's just, it's not for full-blown applications, and the stuff that I'm gonna be doing with this tooling is like, you know, you double click on a material and you get a pop-up window with like another embedded renderer in there, and um, you know, loading textures and bringing them in, and just so many things that if you do it with something like I'mGUI with the whole immediate mode thing, like you can probably do some of that stuff. I've definitely seen a lot of cool stuff done, but the code you write to get there is substantially different than if you were using like something like, you know, WPF or Avalonia or any of these other really big application UI frameworks. Device creation in VK is 140 lines versus DX 4 lines. Device creation, which device? The physical device, the logical device? Like, Vulkan is like, so this is going to be coming out on my channel probably, hopefully in a week or so, because it's a lot of editing. But I've got a Vulkan video. It's about an hour and a half, and it's basically going from 0 to your first triangle on screen. And like, I write my code with a little bit more spacing, because I notice a lot of the sample material for Vulkan out there is written by um, I don't know, people who, maybe people that are smarter than me, but like one of the most popular samples out there, Sasha Willems, I think is the guy's name. It's like there's not a single comment, a single line break. You know, the opening braces are on the same line. Like, it's as dense as you can get it. And I'm like, who is this for? Like, this is not for Vulkan beginners. I mean, it's supposed to be, but it's written as if it's not meant to be read by another human. So I decided to take a stab at making a tutorial and video to go along with it, where the samples are like loaded with descriptive comments, where I'm not overdoing it, but descriptive comments explaining like, here's what we're doing here, here's what we're doing there. There's like functions breaking up the whole thing, the whole startup flow of Vulkan. So like, it's not just like main and then, you know, instance, physical, logical, descriptor set, blah blah blah, render passes. Like, I decided to break it all up so people can actually read through the sample, A, and B, a lot of people still teach like Vulkan 1.0 era bullshit, like render passes. Like, you don't need to use those anymore. Those were a pain in the ass for people to understand, a pain in the ass to set up, and you don't need to use them anymore. So I don't know why people keep teaching them. There's like descriptor sets. You know, you don't need that shit anymore. You don't need like 3 different descriptor sets for different frame timing and all that. Like, you can just bind all your shit and then index into it with a shader. Like, you can do all this cool stuff with modern Vulkan, which you can tell they've sort of brought some of that stuff over by looking at Metal and DX12 or whatever. So yeah, it's like it's you can do a lot more stuff more easily nowadays with Vulkan. So um, I've got that video probably coming out in a week or two, and you know, I've got some like animations in there describing a lot of the processes, and kind of a lot nicer than just rambling and coding. Like, I've got it sort of all animated and stuff. So yeah, hopefully I get that done soon, and if anybody's interested in that, subscribe and look out for it. It's gonna be I think one of the better Vulkan videos once I'm done. Okay. Again, I get lost in nonstop chatter. Okay, so we've got the header set up, we've got the CPP set up, and we have the worker set up. So I should be able to call into this key up, key down from my viewport control. And the way that works is encapsulation. Don't, honestly, man, my advice, don't encapsulate and abstract stuff. Just write it. Like, everybody makes that mistake at one point. Like, they start trying to do all this abstraction. Like, if you're a pro, like if you've done this stuff before and you know how you're going to use the API, sure, abstract away. But most people don't know what they're even going to be doing. So just write the code. Even repeat the code if you have to. Like, copy and paste some code for creating a VK buffer or DX buffer or whatever. Like, copy and paste it, have it set up that way, get all your shit working, and then eventually, once you have like materials and lighting and dynamic lighting and shaders coming in and out and different like pipelines and all that, like once you have something that you're able to render a scene and move around or whatever, you can be like, okay, I'm going to clean this up. And then you start to look at your code and you start to see these usage patterns come out of it. Like, oh, okay, I'm creating buffers like this, and you know, some buffers are like this, some buffers are like that, so I'm going to make a method that like abstracts that away. Or you look at something else. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. Just like, don't don't put the cart before the horse, right? Like, just write the code. Don't be sloppy, of course. I usually hate when people are like, "Oh, just, you know, get it working." But in this case, I think that's good advice. Like, just um, do do a bunch of cool stuff, render a bunch of cool stuff. Eventually, the usage patterns will just come out of the code, and you'll be able to, you know, you'll be able to add some abstraction in there. So like, if you look at my Vulkan renderer class, like, I don't have any barely any abstraction. Like, I know I'm going to be creating shaders, so I made a create shaders thing. I give it like the file name, and then it like loads a vert and a frag shader. I know that I'm going to be creating pipelines for different materials, so I made a create pipelines. But like, none of this is really intelligent. This is like as basic as I can get it so that I can create multiple pipelines. And like, this is literally the only abstraction that I actually have, is like this topology thing. Like, if you look in create graphics pipeline, it's actually a little trick that I did, that somebody kind of put me onto in a book I was reading recently. But normally when you do these mappings, people have like switches from their abstraction into, let's say, Vulkan or DirectX. But it's kind of cool that you can, where is it? What the hell? Where's the topology thing? There it is. So like, I just make an array. I should probably make this static actually, but and then I use my topology enum to index into this topology array, and it'll just map from my topology to the Vulkan topology. So it's like a tiny little form of abstraction that I've added there, just so I can, create triangle lists versus strips and all that. But it's minimal. Like I'm not for this thing. I'm not like starting and choosing any sort of abstraction approach until I figure out how I want these render systems. Yeah, like especially as you're learning or as you're getting a feel for what you're doing, like just keep it all together. Keep it all together. You'll have less shit to pass around, less methods to call on different classes. Like keep it all together. Make it as simple as possible for you to work, and then eventually, like I said, things will just hit you in the face. Be like, hey, I need to create images. I need to create textures, right? Like, um, so you'll abstract some stuff and make your life easier. But yeah, see, like 2,600 lines of code, right? Like, it's kind of ridiculous. The basic example that I did is around 1,200. But like I said, I wrote it very wastefully in terms of vertical space. Like I broke stuff up, I put comments, I made it, I went for readability rather than dumb, like dense, how short can I get this? Like no one cares how short your code is, it's how readable your code is. That's important when other people are going to look at it. So I've put a lot of stuff in my upcoming tutorial and repo to make it easy for people to get into Vulkan, or easier, because it's not easy. I can't say it's easy. The video was going to be Vulkan is easy, but honestly, coming back to Vulkan after going and playing with OpenGL and DirectX 11 again, because I kind of went backwards. I started with Vulkan, then went back to OpenGL, just so I can iterate faster. And going back to Vulkan, I'm like, man, Vulkan is not easy. Vulkan is a pain in the ass. But once you're set up, like once you get your groundwork. Okay, so now I can go worker dot key up and pass my worker, and then I can go e dot physical key. I think is, what is physical key? Of course, it's not a. What's the problem here? Oh, yes. Okay, I'm not going to be null checking this thing because it's, or maybe I should null check it. No, fuck it, I don't care. This physical key, like, is there a pop-up? To QWERTY key. What does this give me? Maps to the physical key. See, this is like over abstraction. Like I just need an integer that I can pass to my engine. Let's have a look. Gets the virtual key for the associated event. A given physical key can result in different virtual keys. Don't care. When pressing a key, the Z position is standard US keyword. This property should be okay. And what's this? An enum. Okay. Let me see. Now, the letter A was what, 96? Is that what it was? I always forget this shit. I don't think these are going to match up. I think these are just, let me see. Can I find SDL key? No. SDL scan codes. course they're completely different. None. Okay. Oh, how did these map? No, not that. I don't want to have like a switch with all this shit. Well, let's keep moving. So, can I do e dot key? I should be able to switch on that. Case key dot a. What's the problem here? Okay, it's just. Oh my god. Okay, fine. I'll put my freaking braces there. Okay, A in SDL land, and I don't want to have this switch here, but we'll get to that. So SDL3 scan codes. Let me bring that back up. Let's have a look here. So A is. So let's just go. And we'll pass in just 4 for now. I'm not gonna do it like this, but I just want to see this working, and then so we'll go ASD, or actually I don't even need S and W. We're gonna go A and D in SDL land is 7, and then we're gonna go J and K, which I use for jump and shoot, and J is 13 and K is 14. Okay, and now that should call into the DLL, and we should get here with the appropriate. Oh shit! I need to switch the debugging mode in order for this thing to work. For the debugger to attach to the C++ code. What did I do here? What did I do? What are you complaining about? Oh, did I delete it? How the fuck did I do that? No, I didn't delete one. I'm blind. Okay. And I'm going to switch it to mixed mode so I can jump into my C++ code. Don't care. It's not going to be null. Did you end up going to check out Avalonia? Like it's just, what's happening here? Oh, yeah, right. That makes sense. It's a completely different level of like UI controls and maturity. Like it's designed for full-blown applications. Like especially once you start to understand like some of the methodologies, like some of the old school ones like MVC and whatever, but like MVVM is what you know, these things kind of what people tend to use nowadays. Like you have you, yeah. What's grit gene? Let me see. What's grit gene? Is grit gene something Avalonia related, or is it built in Avalonia? Ayo. Was that in their showcase? Is that why you're bringing that up? I haven't actually really checked it all out. Cool. Yeah, man. Like, here, let me bring that up. Let me see what they got on there. Open source. Like, yeah, JetBrains. I know they use it as well. Like, it's a huge framework, and I've done WPF in the past, and this sort of takes a lot of the. I mean, WPF is amazing, but it's Windows only, which, to be honest, I almost don't care anymore because I just tend to. I love Linux, but I can't get my shit done in Linux. Like, I can't run Cubase, I can't run Adobe stuff, I can't run ZBrush. Like, I can't go to Linux. But at this point, I was like, fuck it, I'll just use WPF, and then decided to give Avalonia a try because that's supposed to be like the evolution of WPF, and it's a lot nicer in a lot of ways, and uh, it's nice, man. It's for just regular proper desktop apps, like you get so many cool controls. And if you want, you can have like the classic just desktop app experience, so it has less of the fluent flashiness. Like if you, I like that. A lot of people don't like that. But yeah, there's that grit gene. But like, check this out. You know, like it's built for doing all. Like imagine this is sort of like showing your frame time and some instrumentation for your engine and all that kind of stuff. Like that's it's cool. Which is again why I'll use this over just a basic medium mode. Again, though, like depends on what you want, right? Like if you're if you just want to write an engine and then be able to tweak some knobs here and there to control, I don't know, opacity, color, stuff like that, cool. But I'm going with something a little bit more scalable because, and I don't know if the guy that was talking about ZBrush earlier, but like I'm gonna build this entire engine to be. Actually, I'm going to back up first just to make it simpler. I don't know how many people know about USD, but my old engine was, I kind of embraced GLTF, which is like the Chronos groups. The Chronos groups like take on a transmission format. Like Valve uses it. It's big. I mean, anyone who's doing game dev or even 3D art will probably know of GLTF. And I sort of embraced it, and I built like a GLTF parser for my engine and all that. And it's cool, but I don't want to build all the tools for modeling into my editor. Like I want to be able to edit game entity and world and game system related stuff in my editor, but I want to leave the modeling and the world building stuff to the big boys like Blender or I prefer Maya. I'm just used to it, but like I want I want to edit the world in Maya, set up all of my mesh instances and everything inside of Maya, and then switch over to my engine and then click on like a wall that I've placed with Maya, which is an instance of let's say a modular wall or 3D or whatever. Click on that and then um, control things about that wall as it pertains to the game itself. And the way you can do that is using nowadays like a lot of these tools are coming out with USD support built in. Um, so USD is like, let's say you load up a scene in Maya and you place all your objects and everything. Yeah, kind of like a bridge, right? Like I can build a world in Maya, save it, open the USD file using my engine, and then it'll see the world that I've built in as a layer in USD that was produced by Maya, and then you can like stack another layer on top that your engine affects, and it'll be like the components. Like this wall is explodable, so you can like layer on top. Um, Associations to the Maya data using these things called prims, and attach like this wall has a exploding wall component, whatever. I'm just talking out of my ass, right? And then you sort of stack on top extra data, and it all sort of piles together. So every tool that touches the world that you're building will inject its own layer, and it's a lot cleaner than that. I'm probably making it sound messy, but it's so that teams that do different things can work together on the same thing without stepping on each other's toes and constantly having to like import and export little intermediate formats, which becomes a hassle. So it was USD was designed by Pixar because they have a lot of teams that do like rendering, animation, what do they call it? What the hell is it called? Render Viz or VizDev, right? Like they have all these different teams touching stuff, so they have this format that they created called USD that lets everyone work together on different aspects of the thing. So Maya will work on the 3D aspect and the modeling aspect. My engine will work on the aspect that handles like component assignment to things, and this has a collider, this is a trigger point, this doesn't have a mesh, but if you walk through it, it triggers a sequence. I can create all the animations in Maya. I can say this is a camera, and once you step in this box, it'll trigger this animation to play, and it'll just like load that right out of the USD, and it'll animate the camera. So I can do like cutscenes, and I'm just throwing out ideas right now, but I've got the USD SDK sort of brought in, and I'll be starting to work on that very soon. I just want to be able to have some UI that I can affect the USD layers with on my end, on the engine side, because all the other tools like Maya, Houdini, Substance Painter, you name it, they're all working with USD now. So there's actually a really cool talk by Remedy Entertainment, the guys that did like Max Payne. They've completely embraced USD, and it's actually kind of funny. I didn't base this architecture off of them, but they're kind of doing a lot of the same things that I'm doing, and I found it fascinating that and also reassuring that I'm going down the right path. In that they have a C# app. I don't know what they use for the UI layer. It could be Avalonia. It could be WinForms. I don't know. And they're running their engine in a separate process, which I could do, but mine's just running in a separate thread. And my communication may be gRPC, but they're also using gRPC on their end. So you have like the C# app talking to the C++ app over protobufs, and you click File New, and it'll just hit the running engine with like a hey new scene, and then it'll receive that using gRPC, and the engine can do its thing, and it makes the interop super smooth and clean, and they're also using USD in their flow heavily. So highly recommend looking up. I'll see if I can find it. I'll post it here, but it was pretty. It's kind of a complicated talk if you've never dug into USD, because USD is a monster. But Remedy Entertainment USD game tools or something. Let me see. I'll find it. I think I found it. Yeah. There. Or is this it? Yes, this is it. I will post it. Highly recommend watching this. Sorry, I don't even remember. I ramble so much that I don't know what I said that you're worried about. Transaction between C++ and Avalonia. I mean, I just showed it to you. At the very basic, you can just write these method stubs, and then when I call key down here, right, this will look for a exported method in my DLL called onKeyDown, right? So if I just hit F5 here, and I guess this gets back to what I was doing. So let this engine fire up. So if I hit A, right, like I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to like, I think you were the one that was talking about JNI earlier, or somebody was. But like, you don't have to do any of that shit. Like with JNI, you have to set up a struct, or actually on the Java side, you have to set up like, it's going to be this method, it's going to be parameters, dot add, and then you have to add your parameters and do all the marshalling yourself using this like janky JNI interface, or JN interface, because the I is redundant. But like here, it's automatic for you on the C# side. Like it's so much better because I'm just calling worker.onKeyUp on this class, and there's the method. And because of this attribute, it knows that it's going to be on this DLL on Windows at least. And then that's it. It's going to look for this DLL, and if you've got your stuff set up properly, it'll find it. I can do a video on this, by the way. I think it deserves a video because some of that, like, I copy the DLL and also setting up like the project dependencies to make sure that when I compile C#, it knows to compile C++ and all that. So it makes the workflow seamless. But essentially, it's just saying, okay, this is the file that I'm looking for, gamelib.dll, and then my DLL project is just gamelib, right? Like it's this. It's just like, this is the game demo platformer. This just loads the characters and animations and all this stuff. And there's a header called external, and this just defines like the functions that my DLL is exporting to outside platforms. And there's external.cpp, which is the actual code that's going to be executed. So that's it. Like, and now as soon as you call this exported function from this C# class, you're in C++ land, and it's super fast, by the way. Like, look up pinvoke with C#, and that's what it uses. And it's like all the tooling is there built into .NET for like marshalling and unmarshalling data structs between C++ and C#. Really easy to do. And yeah, once you're in C++ land, you do C++ things. Like here, now what I want to do to bring us back to what I was doing is like, see, I pressed A, which is scan code 4, and if we look at the viewport control, A is 4, that's what I'm passing. Again, this switch case bullshit, actually wait, this is broken. This is key down. This is what happens when I ramble. I make stupid mistakes. Oh my god. The Vim emulation in Visual Studio sucks. So I'm not going to do this with like switch cases. I'm just doing this to keep moving. I'm not going to bore people with trying to debug scan codes and mapping them and all that nonsense. But I just want to be able to receive these keys, AD for moving left and right, and J and K for shooting and jumping, and then push them into my engine. So I have a system for that. Like I said earlier, I have this ring buffer on the worker class. So the worker, the engine worker, is what holds the engine thread. And when you initialize it, it initializes the engine with like the internal and external resolutions and all that. It calls back to C#. You can have callbacks, so your C++ code can just bounce information. Like, I need this render info on the C# side to set up the viewport that it's going to be using to look at what the engine is doing. So render info is how many frames my engine is generating in flight. Vulkan can do things simultaneously on the CPU and GPU, right? So how many frames, the size in bytes of the render target, and some synchronization, semaphore stuff. So C++ will initialize, And if everything goes well, it'll call back to C# and say, hey, I'm initialized, here's some information about what I'm going to be doing. And then this control literally just receives that callback right in here, right? Like I start, um, there's a lambda, a C# lambda, that's passed to initialize. I pass the lambda, the C++ thing initializes, and then it calls back to this lambda in here, and it gives me the render info. So here I can like just start using the data from C++ right away, like how many frames I'm going to be doing, how many semaphores I'm using for one thing or another, and then eventually it tells Avalonia, hey, start requesting graphics updates for this control. And I also call start worker, which all that does is just starts the engine, right? It kicks off the actual thread, the C++ thread. See, we got a new std thread, and inside here we have a loop, and if everything initialized properly, it should run. Aptly named, and it calls a single engine step iteration right in here, and the rest is just, this runs all the systems in the engine and actually gets into the guts of the engine side of things. So what I need to do, you can see this is commented out because this is what I had on the DirectX side of things when I was doing DirectX. So let's, I don't want to, or you know what, let's just uncomment the whole thing and see. So platform event, the way I set this up is I had a ring buffer of platform events, and I don't have key up and key down events in here. What the hell? Why would I not have? I thought I did. So okay, so we'll do struct key up, and we'll say int 16t scan code, and I could do a single event, but I won't because I don't want to have to branch on that. Well, yeah, I don't want to have to branch twice. And in order to use the int 16, I'll just do include std int.h, and yeah, that's it. So we also need the key up and key down events in this variant here. Up, key down. So now when C# calls my DLL, it will push the key up and key down events into the engine, into the worker rather, as platform events, like external events. And that will get them, let's do this, comment out this, I don't need that, just comment everything out. Resize, we're not resizing yet, and yeah, we'll keep one for close. And now we just need to push key up and down events into the engine. I'm trying to remember how I did this with the DirectX stuff. So here, yeah, okay. So I'm just going to use, so I have the engine itself is kind of built around a central queue. This is one of the reasons why I decided to just build a whole new engine, is because my last one was like super hardcore ECS bullshit, and I mean, yes, ECS is fun to talk about and to architect and to build and to nerd out over, but when you start actually like trying to make games with it, I fucking hate it. Like it's you end up like sacrificing comfort and like ergonomics, if you will, for some potential performance gains down the road that you probably won't even realize, because maybe your game won't even get to a state where you need that level of performance. But let's say you should always write for performance, so ECS itself isn't inherently performant. It just lends itself to cache friendliness if you know what you're doing. But you can get those performance gains without like raw, pure ECS, right? Like, so anyways, what I'm trying to get at is like this engine is much more like, how do I want to actually make games with this thing? Like, how do I want to code when I'm making a game? Like when I'm handling like taking damage or stepping on a trap or whatever. Like, how do I want to write that code so it's most comfortable for me to iterate and make gameplay features? And events are like one of the most important things for me, um, which ECS doesn't lend itself in its raw form very well, and you end up doing stupid shit like creating transient components which mimic events, and just you end up like fighting your own architecture with a lot of things with like just raw ECS, and like lightweight components that don't know who their parent or children are. Like that I find annoying. There's a bunch of stuff I didn't like about that engine. So this one is like tied around like a central multi-stage queue, like so that it reduces latency. Like let's say the start of the frame receives a bunch of events. By the time you get to this point, you can process the input events without having to wait to go around to the next frame, right? Like usually event queues can give you like a 1 frame latency for some events, whereas in this case, you can pick up, like, if the input system issues a gameplay event, well, this same frame is going to pick up the gameplay event when it gets to that stage. The gameplay stage is going to run any systems that are flagged as gameplay. And an example of that is, like, let's say the damage system for my little game demo here, like the platformer that I'm using to demonstrate the stuff. Like, this system doesn't actually have an update getting called, but it does handle events. And the event that it handles is the death event, right? And when that event happens, it pulls in whatever components it's marked to require. So the enemy, why did it open the enemy system? Oh, what did I click on? I thought I clicked on the damage system. My bad. So the damage system requires, it's going to run in the gameplay stage of the engine, and it's going to require a health component, a physics, and a sprite component to be available, which I probably don't even need those realistically, because I don't even think I'm not even using those, right? Like, see, health component, physics component, sprite component. I should probably set this up just as an event, but that's a separate conversation. But whenever something takes damage, what this is doing is it's adding like a physics impulse so that it moves. Like, I've just hard coded 200 here so that it's going to push it to the right when it gets hit by a projectile, and it subtracts from its health, right? So whatever the damage event will carry with it like an amount, and then it'll just subtract it from the health, the HP, and issue, if the HP drops below 0, it'll issue a death event, right? Which will get picked up by a system that knows how to handle a death event, which I think is the enemy system, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the enemy system knows, okay, this thing's lost all its health. I'm gonna play a death animation, right? So it's like, this is what I wanted to do. Like with my old engine, I would like try and remake old school games like, say, Breakout or whatever, and it's doing it with pure ECS was just annoying, right? Like, this is what I want, and I can optimize this more and more later, but like I wanted updates and events and things to just talk to each other so that like I can write code like, there's a death event. Anyone who looks at this will go, oh, that's easy, right? Like, I get what's going on right away. So I'm focusing on like ease of use, and then I'll optimize all these things that I'm building. It's already pretty optimal anyways. Like, it's not a slow engine by any means at this point, but I know I can optimize certain things. Like the event queue can certainly use some pooling, I think, but that's a conversation for another time. So if I, to get back to what I was doing, what I should do here is I should look at my engine worker. Oh my god, I have too many things open. Engine worker. And what happens when there's a push event? So I can push events into the worker from the outside being C#. So this thing can go worker push event, and we're gonna push. So platform event is just like a variant, or a variant is just like a union. So I can push in a key up event, right? And I'm gonna say scan code equals scan code, and this will push that event into the system. Let me guess. This, no, what the hell? I think this is just Visual Studio being retarded. Key down. So this will push these events into the ring buffer, and that ring buffer, like I said earlier, is just no. That ring buffer is atomic, or not atomic. It's it's called atomic, but it's multi-threaded. So as I'm pushing events from C#, C++ can pick them up, and they don't kind of step on each other's toes, reading and writing at the same time. But essentially, it's going to write these events into that buffer, and then at frame time, you can process events. And what I should do is this. I should say process events while my engine is running, which will go in here and pick up any external events coming from C#, let's say. And in the case of key up, we can say engine, and can I get my services, or is that private? That's private. So what I'm gonna do is, for now, add a method to this engine. Get render. I don't like these getters on there, but it's okay for now. I can say void, what's my event queue? So I have like a services object that gets used, which this thing. So event queue is just my event queue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to return the central queue. Event, and I'm going to return a reference. Event queue. Return services dot. It's just going to forward that onto the service event queue. So now outsiders like the worker can get at the core services that the engine exposes. So I can just say get event, or rather just the event queue for now. I don't want to expose everything. And I can push an event in queue, and that's going to be a, I'm going to need to bring in the engine's events. And that's going to be key up event. And we're gonna say, oh, fuck. How do I have it set up? Basically need to do what SDL is doing here. Services, Get input state. I should just return the whole services object. Fuck it. I'm trying to be selective, but I'm gonna need more than that. So let's just do that. Engine.h. I can do that here. Okay. Services, get services, and then we'll just return the entire services object. This way I can use some of the stuff that some of the other shit, like the input state. The input state is like who's currently receiving, who's supposed to absorb those input events, like who's in focus. So when the engine runs, the input system will see that like the player character has input control, and then it will set that player as the current node or entity that should receive events. So that needs to be specified here. So key input event. Get services. Event queue. Event queue. Key up event. And so that's going to be in services. Okay. Input state dot get focus target, and then 0 delay. We don't want that event, so I can control like when in the future this event should fire. And I think all I need to do for this is just the scan code. That's it, and that will just be e dot scan. No, how do I do it? I have to get the thing. Yeah. Modern C++ is so modern. Then we'll say key event dot scan code. Boom. And with that, we can now receive keyboard events from C#. And push those events into C++, hopefully. So let's see. The event buffer, what am I doing? What's the problem? Assign short to short, what? Scan code is uint16t. This thing is uint16t. Oh my god. Oh. Yes. Okay, that should solve that. And yeah, we should just push these events, and that means that I should get a breakpoint in both of these. And once this enters the engine through this event queue, the input system should just pick that up, and our player should hopefully move. So key down event, boom, good, and the key up event will probably, yeah, see, Why am I... Oh, check this out. Boom. Look at that. The colors are all fucked though. I think I need to check the... But, see? When you got a solid foundation, things just work out of the box. Okay, so, why was it glitched out initially? Maybe because I had a breakpoint? Because it doesn't seem like there's any problem. Nothing's getting stuck. It's working. There's no latency. It's very responsive. So I don't know what's going on here. But I don't care. It's working. So that's good. I'm gonna commit that just to have. I'm just gonna push it all. Added keyboard event propagation sharp into engine and push. Why is it pushing this one? Anyone else still watching? It's very quiet. I see there's 6 people. My stream is not very hot right now, is it? So, what's next? Okay, so we got that. What else should I add? So, this point. We don't care about that. Let's close all these freaking open files. Okay. What I want to do is figure out why the colors are all weird, because it shouldn't be that dark looking. So there's probably some goofiness, like it's supposed to look. I wonder what would happen if I ran the standalone mode. Let's see. Actually, no, I'm not doing that. There's going to be problems with that, and I don't feel like fixing them now. Okay, so what I want to do, I think, is look at adding some log handling, because this engine does spit out a lot of events, like as you're playing, as key up, down, whatever events, death and damage events and all this stuff flies around through the system. I'm gonna want to see those events. Up until now, like in standalone mode, it just kind of prints to the console, but what I would love is to see them like in here somewhere. Perhaps the way to do that is with some sort of list box. And let's see, how will that look on screen if I just run this? So I'm thinking like as the thing is running, we'll have like events flying through the bottom here. I don't know. I was thinking like having them at the bottom or having a separate tab, but I think the bottom is more useful. Why is that flickering? That's so annoying. I'm surprised at how nicely this animates though and how well it runs. Let's actually, I want to try something. Let's see how, if I open the game, like the actual game demo, what it does is it loads a map, a TMX map. Where is it? I have like two maps for testing. One is like small map, the other one is large map, because the large map is pretty large. So I've built these with tiled. I'm not sure if people know what that is, but it's basically you set up your tile sheets and you can make these maps. It's been around for a long time, this app. I have a video on my channel on how to use it and how to load it into your own game engine and all that. But I have this other map that is substantially larger, which has a lot of has a bunch of layers, and it's kind of drawing all this stuff. So I want to see if I run the big map, because I haven't optimized everything thoroughly yet. I want to see how smooth it runs in the engine now. It shouldn't be that different from the standalone because there's really nothing slowing it down, but let's see. Yeah, it's running nice. It's a little choppy, but something broke. I wonder what just happened. Why? This fucking shit again. Let me try something. Just bear with me. Because maybe what's happening is like things are. I'll have to work more on this. For now, we'll just use the small map, and then I'll figure out. I'll debug this separately. But it looks like it's running pretty smooth. What's crashing is the shared texture. You got to do this little song and dance so that like when the C# app is looking at the texture memory in VRAM, it has to like wait on a semaphore, and then when it's done looking at it, it has to signal a semaphore, and it's just Vulkan's retarded. Not because you have to use semaphores, but because of like the way it hangs on to certain things, and also the way Avalonia has implemented Vulkan, I think is a little stupid, but anyways. But I think what I want is, as events are happening in engine, I want this thing at the bottom here. So let's quickly see. If I take, this is column 1. What do I have here? This is like on top. this just stacks on top of the, okay, so if I take, let's copy the list box, and let's put it here. And we'll put it in column 1. Okay, but I want to stack them. Is there like stack layout? I don't remember how. Stack panel should be grid dot column. Okay, I was like, why is that not showing up? And what we need is these in here. So now the viewport's up here. You can't see it because, or it's not. What the hell? What the fuck? Oh, let me try. Maybe I need to get rid of this. And this. And this one. I don't even remember why I have this border thing. Oh, that's just the top buttons. Never mind. Viewport control. Let's see. Avalonia stack panel. I think things are just supposed to stack on top of each other. Range this channel, stacking them horizontally or vertically. Okay. Orientation. Choose from horizontal or vertical. So default is vertical. That's what I want. Why are these? Let me take this out and put it here for now. No, not there. Maybe at the bottom. You know what? These buttons don't even do shit. Like, I'm just gonna get rid of them. I don't need this for now. What I need is this thing. Let me see something. Is that? Okay. Why the hell are they in that order though? Is it because this thing doesn't know its size? Obviously I wouldn't leave it hard-coded like that, but yeah, because it doesn't know its size. So it's... What the hell? What is going on here? Hmm. scrap this maybe. Let me try something actually. I switched this. This isn't being a problem because of that, is it? I don't know what Avalonia calls the user control versus. Okay. That was weird. I don't know why it was doing that, but it's fine now. Now, this could be like, you know, the way I see it is like key up event, you know, key down event, that kind of stuff. Maybe a list box, or let's see what controls Avalonia has for that kind of stuff. What's this? Actually, yeah, let's just look here. Get started. And there are controls listed. Just give me the list of controls. I don't need oh my god. Oh. Getting started. Like, I know they have a list of all the controls. Built-in controls. Okay. Oh yeah, okay. I was like, I know it's more than that. Repeating. So we've got a list box. There's actually a playground for this stuff. Controls reference. I think there was like a web-based. Where was it? So you can actually play around with them. Avalonia controls web playground, is that what it was called, or some shit like that? Web UI playground. Because you can run this on the web as well. It'll compile with WebAssembly or whatever. So list boxes, tree views. Let's see. What the hell's a view box? Okay. I need to put one of these for when the engine's starting up. So they don't have a specific thing for transitions. What's this? Oh, that's kind of neat. Pretty sure. Where's the one that it fired up when I first came here? Okay, this is the one I was looking for. So, okay, I guess list view is the one I should probably run with to begin with. And this is where like MVVM stuff kind of works well, right? So you can hardcode events or stuff in a list like this, but that's not how you're supposed to do stuff. The way you're supposed to do stuff is by using view models. So for example, and before I do that, actually, I gotta go take a leak. I'll be right back. feel like I'm doing ASMR here for you guys. I haven't heard a peep from anyone. Okay. I was going to have, okay, let's go back to Avalonia MVVM tutorial. I was playing around with this stuff like months and months ago through WPF. That was my first sort of C#, C++ engine sort of marriage that I did. But then I wanted to run with Avalonia just because it's more modern. So, there is a tutorial to use reactive. No, we're not going to use reactive. So, the way this works, this MVVM stuff works, is like you don't have to do things like you know, events dot push event, whatever. You know, essentially you have like a property. Let's say let's go with public. Let's say I'm just gonna do it in here for now. Public class event, and then just public string event message, or just message, because, and we're gonna do get set like that, and then here we'll say list event events get set, and let's also go, yeah, thank you Copilot, you are so helpful. And we'll say events dot add new event. I think C#, am I on C# 10? I don't think I am. I'm on C# 9. What do they call them? They call them like primary constructors or something. C# primary constructor. I think that's what it's called. I'm like starting to get back into C#. I spent a lot of time writing .NET in my career, and like banking and marketing and other bullshit work like that. But I haven't touched it in forever, so I'm like way out of the loop. And like, oh, I've been doing C++ forever. So I think what you can do is like, you can define your primary constructor like right in the class definition. So you can do like this. You can say, I just don't know if it's like a C# 10 or 9 thing. We can say string message. Let's go like this. Or it has to match. And what it will do is unread. Okay, I see. So, and then here you can say, what do? They go equals message, and that will marry it up. Do I need a semicolon? Yes, I do. That's kind of cool, right? So it'll like generate the properties for you with the getters and the setters, and then if you have a primary constructor, it'll forward whatever you pass to that primary constructor to the getter, or to the the setter of this property. So then here I can just say event, let's put some bullshit messages, key up event A, or whatever, yeah, fine, A, and down. let's just see D, and when I so now I like what this is the view model for that screen. So this is just adding a bunch of events into this list here, and the way this is supposed to work is you're supposed to bind. How do you bind? Fuck. See, like my brain just like the moment I stop using something, my brain goes, bye. You will not remember this in weeks. MVVM, where is it? It would be like here, starter. There's like data bindings, samples, tutorials, basics. There we go. User interface, building, styling, blah, blah, blah. Where the fuck is binding? Data binding. There we go. Content. Is it just content? No, that's a list box item. I don't need that. So you just go like this, content or items, and then you can say binding. And what do I call it? Events. Oh, that's cool. It shows it for me. Boom. Okay. What is there invalid markup here? I don't think so. What's the problem? What did I do? Thank you. That's so helpful. Unable to find getter server for property items. Okay, fine. Where's that playground? Actually, they're probably hard coding those. Yeah, of course they are. That's not very useful for me. List box selection mode example. Okay, so here they're doing kind of what I'm trying to do, and then you have to do a data template. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so it's not just items. We gotta go like this, and then we'll say list box dot data template, and do I really have to like item template? Like, do I really have to? What did I say? Data template? Item template. And then data template. Okay, let's just do this for now. So this is just saying that like every item, so this is just binding to a string in their case, right? Because they're just adding primitive strings. In my case, it'll need to bind to message or event dot. Okay, what is this gonna do? Just alone. If I just run it like this. Okay, it's not finding the thing. So Avalonia, or maybe WPF is the same shit, but selection mode. Yeah, list box bind to class objects. Object list. How to bind to a collection. Okay. So let's see. Well, for one, actually, yes, you have to mark stuff as observable. Community toolkit, MVVM example. How do they? Observable object, is that what they call it there? Observable collection. Okay. This is this one. So this is a observable collection. No, this will be private. Observable collection. So this is coming from. This should be coming from the MVVM framework. Event. Okay. Events. And then this one, how do you do it? You just return the local one and that's it. Yeah, but they're fucking returning strings. Like I don't. Oh, here we go. This is more comprehensive. People. Set property, ref. I don't know what set property is for. That's probably. Yeah, you see it's. Boom. It's so easy. Like once you know how it works, it's so nice to work with. Like you can just make these UIs and they're so much neater. I don't know if buddy that I was talking about I'm GUI with is still around, but like I hope this is sort of making some sense if you're still there. I think it was Emo. I'm Bulgarian. Emo is a name, so I'm gonna call you Emo. Did I get rid of list? Very nice. How do you do it? You return. That's it. Okay. How many of you like doing this underscore business for the private property or just field member names? Like I hate using underscores and prefixes and other dumb shit like that. But I feel like I should be doing this. Just like in this case, you don't need to do it because there's case sensitivity. Like you can just have people and people. But a lot of people prefix like class member variables with underscores, and I've never really liked doing that. But I've found myself in situations where I'm like forced to put get in front of something instead of just having the thing's name. But then again, calling something get is explicitly marking it as a getter. Like it's more clear than just the name. So I don't know. Anyways, ignore my ramblings. So what is this? Event value. Is that what that was? So you don't need this. You just need this here. So I don't know what this is communicating. If value is changed, raise the community toolkit. Okay, so this kind of wires up the event for you. So whenever events changes, which it won't because the collection only gets set once. But if I do swap out the collection at some point, this setter will just raise an event. So anything in the UI that's actually looking at that's looking at this collection will essentially respond, right? Like, and this is the beauty of this over. Nice. Sort of throw a wrench in your plans. But yeah, no, I'm glad you've chosen to use like an actual good tool for engine, UI design. My cat's so cute. Luna. Hi, Luna. What's up, little girl? So, I think what I need to do here is just create a new observable collection. Let's observable collection. Is there? Nope. It's just this, and then I can just go like that according to the documentation. And boom, 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 boom. Right? You don't even need that actually, but you can use like C style or I think C++ style. You can do like new event message equals, but whatever. We have a primary constructor. We're cool. Alright, so this will give me a new thing, and this will trigger the UI to respond, in theory. Let's close this, we don't need this open anymore. But the UI is broken because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing yet. And I think that's because of this, yeah. Okay, so they were showing here how to actually write. So essentially you do item template, data template, and then I can do a text block and just bind to the thing. Let's see. Message. Why? Oh, I have to bind the actual list box. Item source, that's what it was. Item source binding events. So now this, there you go. That's what I want to see. So this will bind it to the model and tell it yeah. And honestly, like what a lot of people worry about is the fact that normally when you try and like interop, my first attempt at doing something like this was a long time ago, and the way I did it was like during the frames rendering, I would ask, and I think I did it with OpenGL, if I'm not mistaken, I would like in the middle of the frame, or not rather at the end of the frame rendering after everything's drawn to the frame buffer, I would like tell OpenGL to give me the pixels that I have on the screen. So it would like copy the data, the stuff that's on screen into a CPU side buffer, and then I would hand that over to Qt, I think I was doing it with, and then Qt would throw that inside of like a bitmap image in memory and then display it. And it worked okay, but every frame you're going to the GPU and you're saying, hey, give me the shit that you're displaying, give me a buffer of all that data, and then it would like store it CPU side in like a car array or char array, and then you would hand that off to Qt, and then it would like make it a bitmap, and then you would display it. And it's like this little CPU GPU song and dance is slow. Like imagine you're rendering 4K, right? Like you don't want that, going over the wire every single frame. Imagine you're like my monitor is I think, what is it, 165 hertz, like, or 144 or something, I don't know. What is it? I can't remember. But like 144 frames a second, let's say, you're just copying data from GPU, CPU, GPU, CPU. Like that's killing bandwidth, right? It's not killing it, but it's taxing it. Like it's stupid. With this, you literally create that texture and draw to it, and Avalonia is just looking at it. Like they're both using the same bit of memory and RAM. You just have to do this little export. You have to export it Vulkan has tools for doing that, and then you can like you wrap it in like a kernel handle, and then you hand it to Avalonia, and Avalonia unwraps it and imports it, and they're both just looking at the same texture. One is drawing to it, the other one is drawing from it, and it's like GPU, like there's no copying of data. It's really nice. But that was the issue initially, is that like I didn't know how to do that stuff, and now like problem solved. The other tool that I liked was QML. Qt Quick is pretty cool, but this is so much better in my opinion. Okay, so we have events, and we can see them in the designer. So let's see how this looks. Okay, so essentially when the engine is generating events, we have to put them in the into this list. So this thing should be calling back to the Avalonia app and pushing events in there. So eventually I'll do that with whatever I decide to go with. I haven't settled on it yet. I was thinking of gRPC, but gRPC is, oh, let me tell you, I spent hours trying to get gRPC compiled properly. It's like, I'm not even exaggerating. I pulled it in with VC package, and it has to build it. The intermediate folder from VC package, the one that was like all the object files and stuff were in there, like how everything was drawn. The intermediate folder was 50 gigabytes. I'm like, I'm including this in my project? Like, no. So I don't know. It's nice. Apparently it'll handle a lot of cool stuff if you're streaming data really quickly, but there's faster alternatives than gRPC, and I also don't want like my engine executable to go from, I don't know what it is right now. I'm not gonna go check, but like it's gonna go from 5 megs to like 400. Like, fuck off. What, for the communication layer? Google, man. So there's like other tools that work even faster than protobufs when you're doing the communication, and I might just use like Unix sockets, which are natively supported on Windows as well. You know, one thing, we'll just serialize it down to a bunch of bits and push it into one end of the socket and just grab it in the other. It sounds easy in my head, but I'm sure I'm going to run into a whole bunch of bullshit there. But or I can just continue to do this. You know, it's not a huge deal. In fact, let me see. Logger. Okay, so I have a logger which currently just spits out stuff to std out, right? What I want to do is get this thing to spit out strings into something that I can push into Avalonia. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to say static let's make this simple. STD, just functional. Okay. Wow, that took a lot of effort to type, man. My fingers are not working. And then here I'm gonna say, I'm gonna make this public because I don't give a shit. And then I'm gonna say std function. It's gonna return a void, and it's gonna take a const std string reference. And this is going to be log handler. What am I doing wrong here? Is this just being stupid because it's... Yeah, it is being stupid. Okay, and no. And we're gonna say the default log handler is just gonna be, let's go with this, 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 this. I'm gonna put it like that. And do I not need that? I should need that. Guess I don't need it. Okay, and it's just going to take a string and print it out. Cool. What do you want? Why are you there? And then we're just going to say print out the message. This thing's just slow as a motherfucker right now. Like, what are you complaining about? Oh yeah, classic C++. One little syntax error, and it's like, you have 194... God, I hate that about C++. It's literally a missing semicolon, if that's the error. Yeah, that's all it was. Can I compile? Is it still compiling? Yes, it is. Why are you compiling so much? No, because don't do what I'm doing. Everything's in a header. It's because it's templated. I don't need this to be templated. Is it done? Nope. What is it complaining about? What did I do wrong here? Unexpected token. I'm pretty sure that was just failing to compile. This is a problem because like every time I change this logger, it's it's used in so many places, and because I made it a header file, it's just included everywhere. Okay, whatever, that wasn't too bad. So what this is going to do is it's just going to go log handler, and it's just going to call the log handler directly. And we're going to take this whole thing, and we're going to shove it in here. Take this and shove that here, and shove this there. And we're going to change this to error. We're going to change this one to info. And we're going to say bye-bye. So now essentially all of these are just going to be calling out to this log handler, which defaults to the to just this standard thing, right? Anytime you call warning or info or error, it's going to call this handler, which is just going to print it out to the standard stream. But what I'm going to do, being the genius that I am, is I'm going to I don't even remember what it's going to be in. It's going to be in the engine worker, I think. In the engine worker, is going to let's no, oh my god, the auto completions. Okay, good. Let us do something. Where's did I define this? Okay, that's a delegate. All right, we're gonna set up another delegate. So these are just like, we're gonna be able to call back into these from C++ back to C#. So we're gonna call this one we're gonna call it I don't know, why am I fucking, we're gonna call it event received, and let's make a little class for it. I'm gonna move these around later, and we're gonna say it's going to be a event, and it's gonna have a public string message, and now it's gonna receive events that way. We're gonna say event, and event is a reserved keyword. Fuck off. E. And okay, we need to provide that to the worker. So the worker is going to, let's just copy like this one. We're going to say set event delegate, or because it's a callback in C++ world, set event okay, and we're going to go here, and we're going to make another function pointer thing, and we're going to say event received. I'm just thinking, do I give a shit? You know, I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna std string. Will it marshal it for me? It probably should. And we're gonna say event received callback. Okay, good. And now we're gonna make another one of these, and we're gonna take this callback, and we're gonna say we can go include our logger in here. Or actually, I think logger might already be included as part of engine. Say logger, and we're going to say log handler equals callback. And log handler Problem is I made this one. Okay, let's not be fancy. Let's not be fancy. Let's just get it to work first, and then I'll worry about this bullshit. Okay. This should now match up. Void string. Okay. Event received. And okay, good. While that's compiling, let's go here and layout changed. Once we have our where is it? Once we have our worker created, let's quickly set. Oh no, I need to add that to worker. Or did I already add it? I did not. I did not. Okay. Set event callback, and we're gonna say event received callback. So is this what? You're just drunk, aren't you? No, what am I doing? Where's the error? Warning, 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 warning. Don't care. Where's your error? Where's your error, Malaka? There it is. Why is this thing? What? Illegal reference to non-static member. Oh, I didn't make the static? I'm an idiot. God, I need to take this out of the header. Const integral type specified inline. Or be specified inline. Okay, so it needs to just be static inline. Otherwise you can't assign to it, apparently. Okay, and we now have, where is my worker? Event received. We should be able to call that. Layout. I had it here. Worker dot set event callback. Pass our worker, and then can we can you just generate it for me? What's the point of using an IDE if it's not going to do IDE things? Event callback. Event callback. You know what? Actually, I need to do this first. I'm going to do something similar to this, and I'm going to say event received callback. Okay. Event callback. Let's go back here. Event Just generate the fucking thing. Jesus Christ. Okay, message. And then we can say worker dot set event callback worker event callback. Are you going to do what you're told? Yes, you will. Okay, and then is there a problem? Or is that just my eyes playing tricks on me? Oh, I have to do that value. It's a nullable. Okay, let's do a breakpoint here and here. And let's go to external. Is this thing going to work? What are you compiling? Oh yeah, I made it inline. Once you get some of the basic plumbing of this stuff in place, things are pretty simple. Also, this p-invoke stuff can be a little bit verbose. I don't know what to call it. Whatever, it's still easy enough. So what's happening is I'm going to actually put a breakpoint. No, we'll do this. Okay, and now if I run this, let's just see what happens. Okay. Good. Now let's just make sure it's working. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this bullshit from here, because these were just for display. And now, actually I'm not going to get to see those just yet, but I think what I can do is what am I doing? I'm doing console? No. Debug.writeLine. Okay. Message. Okay. And I need to make sure that my engine is actually logging all that shit, and that, I think I disabled that. That's in the event queue class. I had, oh my god, I had it somewhere. Oh, did I delete it? Dispatch, no handlers. Was it inside dispatcher? By the way, emo, there's a Discord channel. If you do decide to do the stuff that we talked about, hop on there. I don't know if you need the link, but probably do. There's a little growing community in there. Drop that in there. Oh my god. Compilation's taking forever with this stuff. Partially because my computer here in my office is like over 10 years old. Bought a new laptop recently that's substantially faster. It's like an Alienware little beast, but you know, I don't use it in my office here. Okay, let's, oh, I should have just like, and here. Realistically, this is going to be handled better through the event system probably, but might not even need to. Either way, okay, so we have this. If I run, let's just see what happens. I should get a message in C# now if I've wired everything up correctly. Yes, but I need to fix something. So it's printing out some bullshit. Well, you see, the events are coming through. The callback is working. What I need to do though is fix this because I made it a string, and here I was being fancy and I made it a. Yes, kitty cat. You want to go outside? Oh, you want to say hi? What are you complaining about? What's wrong? Crazy cat. Okay. The callback is. Let's make it a string. Okay. We'll deal with this separately. I don't care about that for now. I have no need for that to be like something special. Okay, and now if I run that again, that should be an actual text message. Or it's just a pile of crap. That's what it is. Why is that? What am I doing wrong? Where's the thing? C#. Marshall string C++. I don't know. I don't need a struct. I think I can't. It can't be a string. I think I might have to pass on like the. What are the types? I think it just has to be, yeah, it can't be an std string because obviously that class does a lot more than that. So it's not just like holding text. It's got a whole bunch of shit inside of it, which is why the data looks all corrupted. So we're going to change this to a const char star. And the squigglies are really like slow today. Okay, and what we need to do is in the logger, no, not in the logger, in the engine worker, no, in this thing, event received, yeah. Oh my god, it's gonna compile for an hour just to tell me that it couldn't compile. I need to go okay. Here's what we'll do. We'll just say I don't understand why everything's so slow right now. Do I have to like clear a cache or something? Event received. Okay. Event callback. Okay. Let's just okay, good enough. And wait, what am I doing? What am I doing? I don't need to do that. This just needs to capture callback. Yes, this is all I need to do. And this thing is a const char message.cstring. I don't need to fucking do any of that other dumb shit. Like, what the hell was I thinking? Don't need this, don't need that. All we need to do is just wrap the delegate. Oh, I have to go eat lunch soon. Oh. Well, look at that. Yeah, it didn't hit this breakpoint because I don't have mixed boat debugging on, but look at this shit here. The events are coming through. Render system sprite, animation, boom. Okay, so good. Alright, we're in business. Now what I need to do though is I need to get that text from this control up into I know some of you might think this is over architecture and craziness, but this is what you have to do when you expect an application to grow. So, what I think I should do is expose public worker dot event received on event on system engine event message. Let's do that. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna say viewport, or rather what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, and here is where we're gonna do that. We're gonna say viewport on how do you do this in C#? Isn't this just, can't I just make something a delegate and have it act like a delegate? Public delegate, boom. Okay, so can I not just subscribe to it? Anybody write C# here? C# delegates. Work with delegate types. If I remember correctly. God, it's been so long since I've worked with this stuff. Using delegates. Okay. Do you not just do like plus equals or some shit? Like, C#. Okay, whatever. Let's do private on engine event message string message. Okay, and then here we can just say viewport dot on this equals on engine. What's the problem? Let's have a return type. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that should subscribe, right? And now this thing will receive the event from the engine and just bubble it up. And anybody that gives a shit will receive it. I should refactor some of this because like I'm doing everything in the layout updated, which is stupid, but whatever. What we're gonna say on event and message. So now we should get those messages in here, like in the main application. And then we can probably push them into the view model. Yeah, okay, beautiful. And what is the view model? What is it? Main window? Main window view model. How do I access? Is it data context or something? Is it called data context? Okay, what about if I just put a breakpoint again and inspect? So, yeah, just on a stream. I'm wrapping up though. Okay, so data context. Okay, that's not helping me. It takes a little learning, but I'll get there. Okay, the data type is the main window view model. That's what I'm looking at here. Is this thing smart enough? Engine. Can I? MVVM delegate. I don't know. Delegates are used to communicate data back and forth view model to the view or view controller in a standard way. Yes, we know this. How to implement delegate pattern, delegation pattern, and flow coordination. Very fancy. All I want right now, and I'll probably do this in a better way once I get more comfortable, but essentially I just want this, or can you do it in XAML? XAML delegates, or user control delegate. How to put delegates in user control. Like, all we really want. Okay, I don't want to read this guy's bullshit. User control. Why don't we fucking ask AI? Like, this is what it's good for. How do you put delegates? How to add delegate via XAML and Avalonia user control. Like, just summarize the documentation for me. You don't typically add a delegate via XML in a way you might with forms. No, I think it's missing the point. Can't assign delegate. Well, you can subscribe to the event if the control is being. What? I want my user control to expose a delegate so that I can put my user control needs to pass data to the page's view model. Shouldn't this be a delegate slash event on the user control that the view model subscribes to? Let's see how smart this is. You have two main ways to do it as well. Events are the classic C# way. Commands are usually Avalonia because you keep your view model from needing to know about your. Yeah, but you need to send. I'm not sending to it. Like this is why AI is not going to take our jobs. I'm not sending to it. Instead of a delegate, you expose a command property. This allows your page's view model to plug in a function from the XAML. Well, that's definitely not easier. What the fuck is this? Like look at this. Look, where's my window? This is not okay. Yes, we figured out the semaphores already. The event pattern delegate, right? If you prefer events, define an event in the user control. However, model view should not subscribe to a view event. Instead, the page, the parent view, subscribe to the event in the code behind and calls a method on its own view model. Well, this is essentially what I'm doing here. And okay, so it's saying this is the approach I've started taking. In proper MVVM, you have commands. So send to VM. Expose a command property. This allows the page's view model to plug in a function from the XAML. Okay. And then you just bind it to a function. Cool, okay. So then in my user control, public static read only styled property. Why is it a styled property? No, that's not what I wanted. I can't make this bigger. Okay, whatever. So what it wants me to do is to define a property on the user control. And a command. Okay, what's that going to do? Let's see. It seems like a slightly goofy approach, but let's see. Viewport control. Public static read only. So this defines the property. So styled. How about I look at the Avalonia user control properties. No, that's not what I need. What's this? Custom properties, defining properties. Okay. Built-in, choosing a custom control type. Actually, I wanted to read this too. Custom control is a high-level approach to creating custom controls and allowing us to compose control by combining existing controls and blah blah blah. Okay. What's okay, whatever. Let's just, I'll deal with this after. So public static read-only style property. Custom property called repeat count is defined as an integer property of my button control. The property is registered using an Avalonia property system, allowing it to be accessed, modified, styled, and data bound by users of the control. Okay, cool. Alright, so we're defining a control, styled property, and that is going to be of type int. In my case, let me see, what did this silly AI, what did it recommend? Not that. What the fuck, I have way too many things open. Did I close it? Gemini. Okay. Okay, no, you're binding it to an I command. That's what it was. No, it's this. Where the fuck is I command coming from? Oh, okay, so that's the one that I was looking at. Why input? Okay, whatever. So we're setting a nullable command, and we're going to say event receive. This is going to be one of these things I never remember. Property dot, do I do register, blah blah blah, register, or maybe I won't remember it, because it takes the viewport control and the type, right? I command nullable. What is your problem? Cannot convert. Okay, maybe I need to finish typing it and then it'll be what is the name of? private I command? No, public I command. My command is gonna be message engine message event received. Engine event message received, and then it needs a getter and a setter. Why does it need to do it that way? What does their spec say? Okay. And Gemini says the same thing. Okay. Get property. No, what is it? Get value. And then that works on the property. How are they naming it? So they're just putting property. Event received property. Okay, and then it's going to be event received property. And then set is going to be set value event received, and then I think it's just value after. And that should be that. And what that means then is inside the XAML, you should be able to do engine event message received, and then generate the thing for me. Event on engine event message received. Is it going to? I think what I need is on the view model, I need to make a public void on engine. Oops. On engine event message received. String message, and that, I mean, with WPF I remember messing around with this. What are you doing? It's building. Unable to resolve suitable regular attached property engine event. Okay, how do I do it as a... Oh, okay. I'm jumping the gun a little bit. Relay command. I still don't know exactly what the relay commands are supposed to help me with, because they kind of just call functions. Like you're not doing like a undo redo stack or something, so I don't understand why you would even necessarily do it. Okay, and that's the, so now in here you have to go binding on, did I not make it? On engine event message received. Engine event no, it's this. Did I not call it? Oh, it's because it like strips out the on or something. Anyways, okay. Events.add event message. No, I need to do new event. New event message. Okay. Build. Alright. No? Note result. It doesn't? Like, what the f— Oh. Did I? What the hell did I do? Did I accidentally? Or did I just not finish typing that like an idiot? I think engine. Okay. Process engine data. Process engine data command. Okay. Let me get rid of this on business. Did they make it process engine data? It's a relay command. I think the issue was that I hadn't finished typing this thing. Okay. Looks like we have no viewport errors. No, we do. We do. We have a viewport error. Motherfucker. How do you do this? Is it just being stupid? Like, if I run this, is it gonna just work? Or the tools just... No, it's... Oh, yeah, I should probably finish typing that. How it's looking? No. Viewport control. This fucking long ass. What's the problem? Why are you failing? Unable to find setter or adder for property event. What am I doing wrong? This will be glorious once it works. I promise you. So basically you're making a property that's backed by a C# property, which has some getters and setters, which are for handling some of the reactive stuff. My proper event received property. Is that why? I think this is telling me exactly what my problem is. Event message received. No. Unable to resolve suitable or regular attached property engine event message received on type. What do you mean? Engine event message received property. It's just event received. Wait a minute. Am I? What are they doing it here? My command equals my command. My command property, my command. Okay. So it should be this, event received property. So event received is what? Oh, it's because I am no. Event, let's just make this a little more sane. Event received command. Event received command. Okay. Now, event received, event received, event received command. It's gonna freak out again probably. It's like my command property, my command, and then here my engine data, my process engine data command. So my command is just this. Or do they have to like match names or something? Like, what am I not getting? Event received property. Okay. Do they have to command property? Is that why? I have to have the word. Event received command property. What are you complaining about? Event received command. Oh. Event received command property. Okay. I think there's a bit of like naming convention in there that you have to follow, but okay, well, whatever. Live and learn. Now I've wired this to go generate some code for us. I've wired messages to come in here. what that also means is that if I go here, what's your problem? Open the fucking thing. Layout. Okay. On is this a thing? So now I would like to not do this anymore because I don't want that message being received by the window. It needs to be received by the view model. This way we can start adding those right into the view. So the way that works is something, call it. I think the way that works is, where is it? Here? No, here. I don't need this anymore. I'll just put this here, clean things up a little bit, and then go back to this method. Then here, I think engine or event received command. Can I just call it message? How do you just call the command after? How do you work with it? It's simply dot execute. Okay. And let's do that. Okay. All right. Let's follow this. So we know the C++ side is going to be feeding these messages in. That's all working. Okay. Good. No? Call from invalid thread. That makes sense because it's calling from my engine thread. That's okay. We can just wrap this up with, I already did this before. Where is it? That's okay. You can just do this. Nope. This. Without all that nonsense. And this will just queue it up in Avalonia, and because it's coming directly let me see. No, I need this because it's a function call. So now this will run that straight into Avalonia's okay, the message looks good. Execute. Boom. Look at this. Isn't that special? The message is in there. Okay, and now all the messages are just going to get funneled right in. So now as I move, I can see my event log. The only thing is, why can I not scroll this list now? Or is there a better list? You know what I want to try actually? I think it was here you do this. Because I'm not a huge fan of this like overly pretty theme. I kind of want to try just the basic desktop app theme. Less padding and flash. going on with my weird. There's something off with like the colors, the way the colors are like the blending mode or something, like why can I not scroll this list? It's probably because it keeps growing. It's a stack panel. I'll have to figure this stuff out, but that was pretty good progress, I think. I should hop off to go have lunch with my wife. Added log engine logger handling. And let's just push all this. Well, one viewer left. Congratulations, you survived. Thanks for watching, and join the Discord if you know, if anyone's interested in what I've been doing. And I'll see you guys again soon. Adios.